Your name is John Kafi.
Greetings, you are now listening to Coffee Talk, and this is John Kafi. Here at Coffee Talk, we do this for the culture with new episodes every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can check us out online at www.coffee-talk.com. That is KAFI-TALK.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at John_Coffee_. Follow me on Twitter at John_Coffee. Be sure to like that Facebook page at facebook.com/CoffeeTalkPod. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Coffee Talk, hosted by John Kafi, and we're also available on Spotify. Once again, that is KAFI. Okay, first order of business for this week's episode of Coffee Talk. Here's my take on it. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. This is called the thin line between confidence and arrogance as an MC. I've always thought being confident in your craft and ability was a prerequisite to being a music artist and performer. You have to believe in what you do in order for it to strongly resonate with the observer. With that being said, I've noticed over the years that some artists tend to overcompensate for a lack of true confidence, which can often come across as arrogance. Confidence speaks for itself. It doesn't have to be explained. Either you have it or you don't. Not everyone has the determination to be able to sustain composure under the pressure of judgmental eyes and ears. Some people have a little voice in the back of their mind telling them that they're not good enough, or that people won't enjoy what they have to offer if it doesn't fall into a particular category of acceptance. Artists that break through all of this usually have a level of rebellion in their creativity that allows them to freely express themselves without being hindered by this doubtful energy. The outcome of expression is the goal. Focusing on releasing your idea into the world first and foremost, more so than worrying about how it will be received by every single individual, especially those that may not embrace it. As they often say, you can't make everyone happy. For years, I have witnessed a sentiment being projected by both fans and artists alike. This sentiment is the belief that fill in the blank is what people like, or fill in the blank is what people don't like. Who and where are these aforementioned people? Your guess is as good as mine. Everyone thinks they are a marketing expert regardless of their level of experience or education, but with a rudimentary level of knowledge comes an uneducated opinion. At the end of the day, I feel that confidence is something that has to be developed via hard work and intense study of your craft. With a solid foundation, your confidence grows from a strong place rather than a flimsy one. Just as athletes train at an almost obsessive level when focused on achievement, so must an artist practice and execute regularly in order to sustain the confidence needed to overcome the potential stress of being judged by a critical audience. Now, how do you feel about it? Respond in the comment section below the YouTube video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, for episode 10's edition of Coffee's Crates, we have a few musical releases for you to check out. The first one is our special featured guest, King Just, his debut album, released way back in 1995, Mystics of the God. It features production by E. Swift of the Licks, also known as the Alcoholics. Staten Island legend RNS, legendary producer of artists such as Biggie and Tupac, Easy Mo B, a producer named The Mizza, and more, and it features the Shaolin Soldiers and more. We're going to discuss that with our special guest here in a few minutes. Next up, we have Westside Gunn with 10, his newest in the series, with a name that he has changed due to some recent events. But the production is by RZA, Pete Rock, Alchemist, Swiss Beats, Conductor Williams, and more. Features A$AP Rocky, Black Star, that's Yasin Bey and Talib Kweli, Busta Rhymes, Ghostface Killer, Raekwon, Run the Jewels, that's LP and Killer Mike, ST Knack, The Griselda Fam, and more. And our last release for this episode that we want you to check out is Rockness Monster, formerly of Helter Skelter, with, his partner, the late Sean Price. And the producer on this project is Ron Browse, who's famous for producing Ether by Nas. The album's called Ether Rocks, and it features Method Man, Rusty Jukes, and more. So stay tuned to every episode's edition of Coffee's Crates, and we'll keep you plugged in with all the new music that's coming out into the underground.
crowd with a stretch coat like Mr. Fantastic. Luke Cage with waves when I step on stage. Before paid in full, I was fully paid. Blade the vampire, we outside at night with a falcon for the storm. Choke arm, I am the light. My hunger, killmonger, my whole.
All right, today's special featured guest is none other than King Just, all the way from Staten Island. He's a legendary MC that was with Black Fist Entertainment back in the day, released a classic underground hip-hop album called Mystics of the God. And we're going to discuss some of his views today on hip-hop. How you doing today, sir?
What's going on? What's going on out there? The Royal Highness King Just, what's good? Talk to me.
So tell us a little bit about Shaolin, the concept of Shaolin Zoo. That was something I noticed. I was a fan early on, and I listened to Wu-Tang, and they used to refer to Shaolin as far as the Kung Fu movies. But I noticed when I heard your album, you had your own thing. You had the Shaolin Soldiers and the Shaolin Zoo. Was that something specific to your movement, or was that just something that was common where you're from?
Well, I'm gonna definitely say it was common from where I'm from, and I say that to say the whole martial art thing, karate, Kung Fu thing, really starts from us, growing up. Saturday morning cartoons. After the cartoons, I think it was around 3 o'clock. You would have the Kung Fu movies. Everybody would go upstairs, watch it, come outside, and we play fight or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Eventually, play fighting became hip hop because now, we're growing up. This is I don't want to say the actual time, but it was the golden era. Let me say the golden era.
Right.
And in the golden era of us growing up, we would learn to, like, instead of, like, obviously not fight each other physically, it was more like, okay, lyrically, this is who I am. My style is like this. My style is like that. And the zoo would consist of different styles. So you had, the monkey style, or, prayer mantis, or, different animals and different styles. So tiger style, and you've heard of those, like, stuff like that before. Right. So yeah. These were we looked at as was lyrical styles that we would come with, and, like, depending on what you would use. Snake style would be more like you talking slick on the mic, you real smooth with it, you know what I'm saying, like, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like monkey style would be a little bit different, or drunken style would be a little bit all over the place. So this is what the Shaolin Zoo would consist of, as far as the styles of MCs and who, styles that we use. And as far as the Shaolin, is what we call Staten Island. So where we're from is Staten Island, New York, AKA or known as Shaolin. I call it Staten his land, it's mine, I own it.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Let's go.
Yeah. So as far as your debut album, Mystics of the God, what made you come up with that title? Because that's one of the first things that struck me when I first checked it out. I was like, wow, it's like you holding the globe in your hand, and it's the mystics. What's the mystical side of King Just?
Well, if you look at the bottom of the album, on the actual album cover, it says the Mystics of the God, and underneath it says the sex, money, the cess, and the blase blah.
Right.
That was more or less, I would say at that time, what I consisted of, my style and my rhyming and things of that nature. Like, we smoked weed heavy. We was into getting money. You know what I'm saying? We was into women.
No doubt.
And and the blase blah would be everything else, like everything else that comes with it. So, the things that you might not really want to even say on camera or on film. So a lot of the time we were talking code. So the blase blah was just that, that thing that was unspoken of. If you knew what it was, you just knew what it was. But that was just what the style of the Mystics was, you know what I mean? Like, I consider myself, because I ran with people that, were God bodies, and this was like a understanding of, what we followed and codes and ethics, again, that we ran with.
No doubt.
That's what the Mystics of the God basically was. It was just, introduction of who King Just was, coming out to be as an MC.
Right. And the first single that kind of caught most people's eye when it came out, I remember seeing the video on BET, was Warrior's Drum. Now, that energetic style and you delivering that sing-songy chorus, What inspired you to do that, as far as musically and verbally? What inspired you to take that approach to your debut single?
I think just something, it was never really been done in that aspect. Like, again, I'm from the golden era. You know, if you had to ask me what would be my hip hop Mount Rushmore, right? So how many is there? It's like 4 heads on there, right?
Yeah.
On Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Right. So my hip hop Mount Rushmore would be, not in this order, but I'm just saying, it would be KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Slick Rick.
Oh yeah.
So that's my like, that's, if you put those MCs together, that's how you get King Just.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, my elements of who I come from. You know, I'm not ashamed to say it. Oh, you know, on top of the fact that, of course, me being from the island and me growing up with a lot of members from the clan, you know, I used to battle and rhyme against them too, but we'll get into that.
Right.
But as far as, like, you know, of an MC of where I come from, you know, my Mount Rushmore is that. I brought that up to say, Slick Rick back in the days has a song. It's called Davy Crockett.
Right.
So in Davy Crockett, it was, you know, he was talking what he was talking. If anybody knows what that song is and you hear it, you'll understand where I got the Warriors drum from.
Right,
so
right.
technically, Slick Rick gave it to me without realizing he gave it to me.
Right.
So I pay homage to Slick for that. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm a product of hip hop. So me coming up with, you know, ideas was just something where I would hear something in a song that, you know, somebody didn't do. Like how Jay-Z said, you made it a hot line, but I made it a hot song or something like that. So I say that to say, yeah, I could take a line from something and turn it into a song.
Right. So you said about being a product of hip hop. Now coming up in New York City, what was like your first discovery of hip hop? What's that first sound that caught your ear that made you say, yeah, that's what's up, that's what I'm into, that hip hop thing?
Well, I mean, technically I'm born into it, and I say that to say my first cousins and my sisters and brothers, they're part of a known rap group called Newcleus. So if you ever heard the song Jam On It?
Jam On It, I grew up on it in 1984. Yeah,
Cosmo D, you know what I'm saying?
I actually saw Cosmo D perform in New York City and at Gramercy Theater.
Okay. So so that's my family right there. That's first cousins, sisters, and brothers, all of that.
I didn't know that.
Group. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm low key with it, but yeah, that's my family. So if you want to say where my first whatever was, their basement parties. So the basement parties that technically I wasn't allowed to go to because I was too young to be there, but I would still be able to be there because it's at my family house.
Right.
I would, you know, sneak down in the basement and they would be rocking, like, you know, they'd be jamming, whether it be, you know, like, how could I say it? I don't want to say techno. I would say they had club music. They was rocking club, disco. Like, you know, they would just be jamming hip hop, R&B. So for me, I got a early start on the schooling of it, and I used to just love to come down there because at times, you know, Cosmo D, my cousin, he would let me rock the mic. He would be like, yo, all right, come on, man. I'm going to let you show off your talent, man. Go ahead. And sure enough, you know, I get on the mic and I'll be able to rock the crowd. Right from there, I knew, like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is for me.
Right. Now, I saw a few years ago, Cosmo D passed away, did he not?
No, that's Chili B.
Chili B, okay. R.I.P. to Chili B.
Cosmo D is still alive and kicking.
That's what's up. Now, I do want to say something about Black Fist, the movement when you came out. What did that movement consist of? I did a little bit of research and I found out something about a promotional single with a group called Boom Platoon and Militant Misfits and Rugrats. Do you have any affiliation with those, or were they just your label mates?
That's all Shaolin Soldiers.
Oh, it is?
That was just like subdivision names that was in Shaolin Soldiers, that's all.
Oh, okay, I see. Now, speaking of the Shaolin Soldiers, we got Star Child, Baby Paw, Profess, and Leatherface. How did you guys form as a group originally?
I mean, we all from the same neighborhood. We all from the same hood, and we just MCs. And I used to, I guess you could say, battle them. So in other words, how I came up battling dudes like, let's say, Meth, Kappa, Ray, Yuga, Deck. And when I say battling, meaning, you know, we would see each other just like how you see in a Chinese fight.
Right.
Where the guy would see the other guy and be like, hey, let me show you your style or whatever, and you guys would start sparring or start fighting.
Yeah.
It would be the same exact thing. Somebody would have a radio, somebody have a beat, and they'd be like, yo, what's good? What you got? You know, and so it would be sparring sessions. Them being just a tad bit older than me, I was a tad bit older than guys like Fess Taylor and Leatherface and stuff like that.
Right.
Baby Paw, and you know, and we came up together. So it's the same way. So these were the guys that were with me on tour when I came out with the Warriors drum and, you know, was doing the music and things of that nature. These were the guys that were with me, you know, doing these shows and doing these things. So we just came up together. So as far as how we put it together, it's like, you know, guys being in the hood with the same common goals and interests, and we like, yo, we might as well just do it like this. And me being the oldest, I guess I was, you know, the head nigga in charge, I guess.
Right. The album itself has some tracks, several tracks produced by RNS. For those of you that don't know, which was like a mentor to RZA when it came to production. So how did you connect with RNS?
I mean, R's the grain. R's like somebody that was been doing it forever. Obviously, if like you said, if he, you know, mentored even, you know, RZA, he was somebody that was doing it for a long time. And R's just somebody who was just in the hood that normally would, you would, if you wanted good production and you wanted good music, you would go to RNS. You would, you know, eventually, if you ain't make it to RNS, you just, you know, it was almost like if you didn't make it to RNS, you really wasn't on like that, you know?
Right.
Like you had to go see him. Like I guess now, like, you know, let's say for Staten, RZA is the guy. You gotta, you know, to get on, you gotta, you know, see RZA. It's the same thing. So,
right.
You know, right.
So RNS, was he from Park Hill or Stapleton? Was he?
Nah, he's from Stapleton. He's from the town. He's from Stapleton. So you know, big up to Stapleton for having a dope guy like that always in their corner that was always producing heat for them, such as, you know, Pop Da Brown Hornet, Shaheem. You know what I mean? You had a lot of other cats that came, you know, through there that was pretty dope too. So
the GP.
It was just, you know, I big him up all the time because he's that guy that made the sound that we was, as far as I would say Shaolin is known for. He's that guy for that sound.
Right. Now, for the listeners out there, if you don't know, in Staten Island, from what I've heard and learned, there was a little conflict between Stapleton, a historical conflict between Stapleton and Park Hill. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, that's like any neighborhood or as far as New York City is concerned, people know, like, if you're from, you know, A block and these guys are from B block,
right?
It just seems like it would always be a conflict or a problem. And when I say that, meaning, you know, we had to go to school together. So in school, whether it be a competition as far as sports, as far as girls, as far as who dressed better, who got the flyers, you know, this, who got, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we was just always in competition with them. So, you know, it was only right that it would eventually turn out the way it turned out to be.
Yeah, so was that kind of going a little bit like against the grain or doing something unusual to work with RNS, being that he was from another place from you, or was that just a sign of unity there?
Well, no, for me, it didn't matter because, again, musically, like, we would have music already out. So before we was out as far as in the world and people knowing us, we had music that was in our neighborhoods and in our, you know, in our towns,
right,
that we would, you know, play. And it was like, if you wanted the best production or if you wanted the best sound, you would go see R&S.
Right,
I
right.
mean, there were other cats out there. Let me not take it away from, other cats that were doing music out there at the time. But I'm just saying, like, R&S was the guy at the time that, people wanted to hear music. So for me, it didn't matter to me. It was weird because, me being from where I'm from, which is Park Hill, I had to sometimes slip into Stapleton. I couldn't just go right in like,
right.
yeah, I'm here. Like, I had to sometimes slip in, and it was, I thank God that R&S lived kind of like on the outside of Stapleton. Like, he lived in Stapleton, the projects, but his building was on the outskirts, so you was able to slip in and slide in without nobody really seeing you, and you would have to run into anybody and have to fight your way out of the projects and shit like that. But I love it because it made us who we are today.
No doubt. And that kind of also developed into a project you did a few years ago, that same theme of uniting those two different places, this project called The Emperor and the King, Best of Both Hoods. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
That's my joint right there. Me and Pop Da Brown Hornet, we grew up in high school, as far as like we was in high school together. So the same elements that I was telling you, the competition as far as the ladies, the dressing, music, everything was always like that. And me and him used to always like battle. Like, I would come to school and I would have a rhyme for him. The next day he'll come to school and he'll have a rhyme for me, and we would just be going back and forth. Like, all right, so it was only a matter of time for us to say, what are we doing? Like, let's put together a project. We'll let them know that we still out here, we still doing music, we still alive. Because again, for me, like, I'm gonna give him his props because he the one that more pumped me up to do this shit. Because he was like, yo, we need to just, take it to that level where dudes know that we still out here, we still doing whatever. For me, it didn't matter to me. Like, if I did music all the time, I still do music. So I'm never, at a point where I'm not doing music, where I gotta show people that, hey, here I am, I'm doing music.
Right.
I just know that for me, as far as the business is concerned, if you don't know it and you don't understand it, man, you're dealing with sharks, and unless you can afford it, for me, it ain't worth it.
Right. See, that leads into something we were talking about a little earlier before the interview. You kind of have, like, I guess you could say a disliking of the industry, or it kind of like you kind of burn out with the industry. Could you tell our listeners out there, like, what did you go through while you were in the industry releasing music early on that kind of maybe made you feel that way, or led to you feeling that way?
I mean, obviously, in let's say, in the society that we live in today, everybody's looking to, make some money, take care of their family, feed their kids if they have any.
Yeah.
Take care of their family, do the things that they're supposed to do. Or maybe just want to live, nice, live comfortably. A lot of times, you had everybody's hand in the cookie jar, and if you didn't understand the business, the rapper's the last person to get paid.
Right.
So he's the one that's on the front line. He's the one that's, every night out there singing, dancing, or doing whatever that he does, making the music in the studio, sleepless nights, leaving his family, so on and so on. But then now everyone gets paid first.
Right.
The producer gets paid, the label gets paid, the lawyers get paid, the publisher gets paid, you know what I'm saying? Everyone else gets paid except you. You get paid last as far as the artist, right, or the musician, depending on how you have your company set up or whatever the case may be. And for me, I was an independent company, but I wasn't the guy who was the boss of that. So I was just in a deal where I wasn't receiving the money that I should have been receiving. And then years later, after I stopped, let's say maybe coming out and putting out music, I would sit down with certain people and, that were in the industry, and they would tell me like, oh, you made this company over $1 million and you did this and such and such, and they could show me this on black and white,
wow,
with the record sales and the sound scan at the time, and I'm like, because at that time there was no
streaming services.
Streams, right? Yeah, it was no streaming at the time, so a lot of times everything is just based off a sound scan, what was sold off a billboard or whatever. And when they told me my numbers and they told me how I made the company over $1 million, and then I met another person who said, hey, you know, I gave this company that you were signed to, which was Select Records, he's like, yo, I gave them $1 million because you were signed to them. Mind you, I wasn't actually signed to them. It was
Black
like
Fist?
right, it was Black Fist who was signed to them, not actually me. So it was just a whole lot of, wow, a lot of money was being exchanged, and not near none of it fell in my direction.
Right.
So I felt the type of way about that, and you know, for me it was just like, you know, until I understand it and know what it is, I'm just gonna fall back and, you know, take care of my family the best way I know how. And that's experience has been good. Has been great. I have no complaints whatsoever. And again, I could do music anytime I want, anytime I feel like it. There's no labels telling me when I could drop, and you know, seeing that the game has changed with the streaming services and things of that nature. It's so different now. Like, you know, most artists don't really need a label unless, you know, I don't know, unless you're trying to use other people's money. That's what I only see that for.
Right.
Other than that, right now, you don't even need a label.
No doubt.
As far as, you know, like at the time where I came up, where record labels signed you and put your music out, you don't need that anymore.
I think that was real profound what you said about the artist, the front man, taking all of the risk and getting minimum payoff, maximum risk, minimum payoff. Yeah, that's a real deep perspective on it.
I feel that's so unfair.
Yeah.
And then with the new deals, with the whole 360 deals, now that's like saying anything you make all around the board. So whether it's a sneaker endorsement, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, I get a piece of it.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
How does an artist survive?
Right.
Like you would see, like you wouldn't believe it, because you would see all these like famous artists and they're going on tour, they're in private planes. You see all of these things going on, but then next thing you know, you hear a story about, you know, and I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody, but then you heard, like, for instance, the TLC story with Left Eye.
Right.
She was explaining how, you know, they made this amount, but they only seen this. So you know what I'm saying? Or even with like Lil Wayne going through the Baby thing, where he was said, you know, oh well, this guy owes me money. Like, you would think like, nah, these guys are good. They're, you know, millionaires. They don't know. It's like, it's a lot of shady things that go on, and sometimes it could be your own people. And again, I'm not talking about anybody, because I know sometimes people feel the type of way or whatever, but I'm just, you know, pointing out the facts of what's going on, or what's common knowledge to what the world knows about.
Right. Now, back to the album with Best of Both Hoods. How did you feel about the rollout for that album and how it turned out? Was that an enjoyable process? Did you like the material? How did that come out for you?
I mean, yeah, I liked the material. I picked it on. So, yeah, you know, I loved it. You know, it was just something, again, that the world needed to hear. It was just something that needed to be put in the history of, you know, Staten Island music and who we are. And I also like to shout out, because, again, I said my beginnings, which I gave you my early beginnings, which was Newcleus, Jam On It, Cosmo D and them. But I also have beginnings with the Force MDs, which is from Mercury from the Force MDs. He's also my mentor, or somebody that I would say, you know, I wouldn't be who I am today if he didn't, you know, make the moves that he made to put me in the position that I'm in.
Right, legendary group from Staten Island, Force MDs.
Right, you know, so Mercury was a big, you know, shout out to all of them, but Mercury was a big part in my career, you know, in my beginnings of my career to, you know, get out there. Like, he's the one that brought me around certain cats. Like, I was around Tupac, you know, early when he just finished doing Juice and Sharkies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I was around, like, cats like Biggie and stuff like that. So these things that, you know, I appreciate, and, you know, most people, they not even had that experience. I was around Big L. I was around, you know,
right,
you know, Freaky Ty. I was around cats that was just, you know,
R.I.P. Big L, Freaky Ty.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, So for me, it was an experience that I wouldn't change, or I'm not mad at anybody. I don't feel no type of way, because I know sometimes I say whatever I say as far as the business is concerned, but I don't feel no type of way, because I'm all right. I'm okay. I've always been a person who's always been, a move shaker. I've always, maintained a good living, so I'm okay in my life. But musically, every now and then I pop my head out, because I hate what they putting out there, and sometimes I get disgusted. I be like, what is this that they're doing? And then,
shots fired. Shots fired.
It makes me want to say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you did mention Tupac and Biggie, some legends. Most people consider them, the twin towers of hip hop.
I got a song with Big.
Oh yeah.
It's on the Ed Lover and Dr. Dre Who's the Man album. It's me, Ed Lover, Todd One, and Biggie Smalls. And I think Todd One passed away too, so rest in peace, Biggie Smalls and Todd One. R.I.P.
So this is on the soundtrack to Who's the Man?
Yeah, the Who's the Man album. If you go look at Ed Lover and Dr. Dre got an album called Who's the Man.
Oh, okay. I gotta check that out.
Right, it's called Who's the Man, actually. The song is called Who's the Man. It's me, Biggie, Ed Lover, and Todd One. And the track was done by the 45 Kings.
A legendary producer.
Yes.
That's the one where Ed Lover used to break down with the 900 number when he used to
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir, that guy.
Speaking of legendary producers, you just mentioned Biggie and Tupac. Easy Mo B has worked with both of them, and he also did production on your first album, Mystics of the God. How was it like working with him?
Yeah, because we were all frequenting around the same people and the same, the same people. Like, it was great working with him. He's phenomenal. He's dope. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Like, even back in the days that he had a group. It was called
Rapping is Fundamental.
Right, RIF, Rapping is Fundamental. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So you know your history.
Yeah.
He's dope. I mean, it was great working with him. He's pretty easygoing. I mean, if there's something that you don't like, he can switch it up. He could do whatever. It was dope. He definitely did. He did like 2 or 3 tracks on the album.
Yeah. Now,
at least 2 that I know of.
We were talking about the Shaolin Soldiers earlier. I want to kind of move a little bit forward from that. And a couple of the members of Shaolin Soldiers kept making music after that first album. One of them was Profess, also known as Fess Taylor. And then Leatherface and yourself moved on to do a compilation with you guys called Hillside Scramblers. How did that come about?
Yeah, shout out to Fess Taylor, one of the hardest, no, matter of fact, not one of, the hardest working of the Shaolin Soldiers. Fess Taylor does not stop. He's always dropping albums, dropping music, doing videos. He's doing it all. So shout out clothing line. Shout out
Fess Taylor.
To the Millie Misfit, Fess Taylor. That's my dog. That's my heart. I fucks with my boy. That's my dude right there. So as far as the Hillside Scramblers is concerned, you got, obviously, I guess there was a time where dudes were, they were doing music, but they were coming back to the hood and kind of like snatching up cats that were still in the hood doing music. And one of them, obviously, you go hollered at my man Leatherface to come do some music with him. Mm-hmm. They had another name that they was going by. I wasn't crazy with that name at all. I won't even mention it. And long story short, they wanted me to jump on board and do music with guys and do whatever, like be a part of the whole group. And I really wasn't with it because I didn't like the goddamn name.
What was the name?
It was stupid, man. If you run into U-Guard or Leatherface and whatever, anytime you interview them guys, you can ask them. Like King just said, you guys had a name before Hillside Scramblers. What was it? Anyway, I was like, I'm not getting down unless the name changes, and therefore this is why you have the birth of the Hillside Scramblers. So they were always there as a little team or working as a squad, but again, they were basically all my people that was not really, you know, again, I myself stopped doing music, right? So if I'm the guy that's like making the moves or doing whatever and not stop doing music,
Right.
other guys got to make moves now because I fell back. So when U-God came around, he was, you know, basically offering a situation, and, you know, dudes jumped on it. So I wasn't mad at it. I jumped on a song or two. I even got my own song on the album. So I think that was one of my other stipulations. I was like, well, I ain't getting on there unless I get a song
Solo
for
joint.
myself.
Yeah.
I needed a song by myself. But other than that, you know, the Hillside Scramblers, again, that's just another Staten Island movement that dudes, you know, put together. Definitely good music on there. My man Leatherface, I think, was on some of that production. I think maybe DJ Homicide. A couple of people would, you know, that was, you know, on that project. That was pretty dope.
Is Leatherface still around making music?
We got a new project out right now. It's my man, Sick. He's another Shaolin Soldier that was on a couple of tracks of mine. Like, I got a song with Method Man called Three Amigos. So it's me, Method Man, and one of the Shaolin Soldiers named Sick, S-I-C, Shaolin's Illest Creation.
Dope.
He got some music out right now with all of us on there right now. So it's called Power. So if you type in SIC, Power. If you type in King Just, Power. It's me, Leatherface, Fest Taylor, and Sick. Dope.
Now this is all a song, or is it an album with all you guys on it?
Nah, it's a song. We know we don't really want to jump and say that we doing an album right now, because a lot of us be doing a lot of different projects, so
right.
We all over the place. And, you know, certain people live in different states and all of that. But other than that, nah, we just got a project right now. It's just, you know, one song with this, you know, video's coming soon. It's already done. We just got to, you know, get it together. And, yeah, you know, we still out here. We still here making music, man. But it's like, you know, it's an independent game, so you can just do whatever. I don't want to say it's like the Wild West. You can do what you want, but... You know, again, it's no rules to it. So whenever I feel like dropping something and putting it out, I could do so.
Right. Now, speaking of the game these days and newer music, I noticed you have some stuff you put out recently. Could you tell the listeners out there about some of the newer music you have? One I heard, Never Fall, you put out a couple years ago. It's really dope, and it's got a video. You've been releasing singles off and on over the past few years.
Yeah, here and there I drop, you know, joints and things of that nature. Produced by my man Ram. Shout out to my man Ram. Shout out to my man Real Job Studios. Yeah, Never Fall. And I got a new one called Blind Fury. We got another one, Dance on Them. I mean, you know, I just be putting music out just to test the water, just to see, you know, what's out there, what's going on, what's the vibe. You know, checking to see, you know, who's still on the dance floor, who's still making it work. So, yeah, every now and then you gonna hear something from me until I, you know, feel like it's the right time and the right moment for me to actually go again and go hard for it. And, you know, because again, you never lose the love for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You always, something that always, I guess, pulls you back in and be like, you know what, I'm going in one more time.
No
but
doubt.
for me, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So, you know,
right.
I gotta make sure that's you know, that's priority.
And speaking of that, are you available for guest features for some of the listeners out there and some of the up and coming artists that would like to maybe get you on a track?
Sure, yeah. I mean, you know, if you respect underground hip hop, you like my music, and shit, if you just want to give me your money, like I take that too. But you know, for me, it's not even always about the money.
Right.
It's always more or less about you know, the project and the music itself. Like,
right.
What is it? What's the content? What is it talking about? I mean, I'm cool with it. I could do almost anything, but I prefer to do certain type of music. So, you know, here and there, you know, as times change, I've changed. So, you know, I got new things coming. So you're gonna be surprised, because a lot of things that I've done, you know, I'm a risk taker, so I say that to say I don't mind doing certain things. So when, you know, like the new music now is like drill music, man. I got an album full of that. You know, they got another type of music called this type of music or whatever. I got an album full of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't mind. Like I'll do it from reggae, R&B to hip hop to country. I even got a country rap song. Like I'm not even playing. Like
right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there's nothing I don't do. So I'm well versed. But you know, again, my music. You know, again, I come from the era of, you know, my forefathers is, you know, KRS, King, Rakim, and Slick Rick.
Right.
You know, if you're not making music to even, you know what I mean? Like I can't even deal with you. But I like a lot of dudes that are out now that are doing music that, you know, a lot of people I guess don't big them up as much. You know, the Joel Ortiz, the Papoose, the Fabs, the, you know, you got the Manos, you got a lot of cats that's out there, the Uncle Murders, that's putting out good projects that are dope, and people are not, you know, showing them love.
So how your fans that are interested in working with you, how can they get a hold of you?
I mean, I'm on social media. Again, for me to sit here and tell you the name, like, you hit me at kingjust.com. Like, you know, I'm not gonna lie to the people. I mean, I'm out there. You know, if you know somebody or, you know somebody that knows somebody, I'm not too hard to get in touch with. You know what I mean? They can contact you if they must. You know what I mean? If they know you, reach out to my man, and he'll definitely hook y'all up with that exclusive. You know, King Just, whatever you need, man. If you need me to sing on your song, I can sing. You know what I mean? It may not sound great, but I can sing. And some hip hop shit, definitely. So, you know, I'm available, man.
That's what's up. Now, do you have any final words for our listeners out there to take home with them while they're listening to this?
I mean, follow your dream. You know, don't let nobody stop you. A lot of times, you know, it was told to me that I couldn't put out no music, or, you know, and this is again in my younger years where, you know, you might be rapping in your room or something, and your mom be like, "Oh, turn that noise down," or what you doing with that nonsense? You'll never make it nowhere. But then, you know, when at times when they might see you at an award show, or they see you, you know, making music with certain rappers and seeing you on stage or your name even mentioned, you know, amongst the greats, it's like, oh, okay, he wasn't playing. Like, you know, he was serious about what he wanted to do. So, yeah, always follow your dream. Just, you know, stay focused. Make sure that whatever you get yourself into, you know exactly what it is that you're getting into. Make sure you study it. Make sure, you know, you honor the craft. And, you know, dudes not to say that they got to pay homage, but at least know where it came from. Know, you know what I'm saying? Like, a scientist can't just come in and say, well, I don't want to study this. I know he got to study all types of aspects of science in order for him to know what he's studying. So it's the same thing. So, you know, with this craft, you know where the music comes from, know who the forefathers are, know who the guys that paved the way, so that, you know, you could learn from their mistakes and do it better.
I couldn't have said it better. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. I appreciate it as well. Well, if you got a new release, we'll be sure to have you back to talk about it.
Definitely. I'll make sure you get the first joint when it come through. You already know, hot off the presses.
That's what's up. Give it up, everybody.
Staten it's mine because I own it. King Just, you already know, man. Signing off, you heard?
Yeah, King Just. Thanks for listening to Coffee Talk. Are you interested in appearing on the podcast? Reach out to me at coffee.talk@gmail.com. Business owners and entrepreneurs are welcome. Sponsorship packages are available to have your product or service featured on Coffee Talk. Once again, that email is coffee.talk@gmail.com. That's KAFI.talk@gmail.com.